Very special week at Cooperstown, honoring two former Blue Jays headed into the Hall of Fame. And we've got one of them, Fred McGriff, former MLB first baseman and 2023 Hall of Famer, the Crime Dog, joining us. Congratulations, and thanks so much for coming on the show this morning.
All good. It's a beautiful, beautiful day.
It is. Is it a little relieving that it's all over? I mean, there's a lot of anticipation, right? Like there's a lot of anticipation waiting for the call. There's a lot of anticipation waiting for your moment to address the crowd there at Cooperstown. Are you a little relieved? You can take the sigh of relief that this is all done with and you're officially enshrined. You're a Hall of Famer, Fred McGriff.
Oh, without a doubt. Because once you get the phone call, and now you got 7 months to think about your speech, the whole scenario, what's going to go on here and there. And so until you're actually there and you experience everything, it's a little stressful. So you got everybody in your ear telling you, "Oh yeah, Fred, just do this. Just thank a few people here and there and just go on with it and just do what you do and you'll be all good." But still, it's a little stressful.
What was that phone call like? I don't know if you were expecting it, if you're waiting around, if it just surprised you, goes to voicemail, you call them back. How does that work for you?
Well, they give you a little heads up that if you're elected, they give you a call like 30 minutes before it actually goes on MLB Network. So you're there and you got your phone, and just in case around, for me it was around 7:30. Back on December 4th. So you just have your phone with you, and then when you see that where the call is coming from, then you know what to expect. Yeah.
So you mentioned 7 months. You got to prepare a speech. How did that process go? What was it like delivering a speech? Was it more nerve-wracking delivering a speech than, let's say, digging in a big spot or playing the field as a major leaguer? Where did that rank in terms of the most nerve-wracking things you've done in your life?
Oh, it ranked pretty high. And because the thing about it, the Hall of Fame folks, they did a great job of preparing me. We had a rehearsal. I've been reading my speech for the last 2 months to somebody or even my wife or somebody, and so you're practicing all that. And so when I finally got up there, it was kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, you've practiced so much that you're ready for the moment. But when it came to baseball, I've been playing baseball since I was 7 years old. And so and you play the minor leagues, and then you get to the major leagues, and so you get into a routine. And so when you're playing, like if I played in the World Series, the first inning you may have butterflies until you get a ground ball hit to you or you have it in bat. But then after that, it's baseball. It's normal that you've been playing all your life. So the speech is a lot tougher.
Well, you nailed the speech. One quote stuck out to me. I think it was your last line. I'll quote it for you. "I encourage you, whatever your dream is, to never give up and always remember to stay true to who you are. There will be fires along the way. Those fires can ignite the spark for the next season of your life." If you were going to let us know which fire got you to the Hall of Fame, what was that? Like, what was the thing that sort of paved the way for you? What was the obstacle you overcame that made you the major leaguer that you were?
Well, I think, I got cut my sophomore year in school. That got me going a little bit. But I think in general, for me, I was more of a late bloomer. And so the Yankees drafted me in the 9th round. And so I wasn't a high pick. And so usually if you're a high pick, you pretty much you're guaranteed to get up to the big leagues unless you just totally bomb out. You're going to get every single opportunity. But when you're a 9th round pick, you have to scratch and claw for everything. But when the Blue Jays when the Blue Jays traded for me after my second year in rookie ball, now all of a sudden you got some hope, because when a team drafts you, when the team trades for you, usually you're going to pretty good opportunity. And so just the Blue Jays drafted me and Pat Gillick and the guys, and they gave me opportunity. And then once up in the big leagues, now you start having a little bit of success, and you start believing, hey, I can do this. These guys in the big leagues are good, but you can play with them.
So you spent your career on a couple different teams, but for specifically with the Blue Jays early on, what was it about that team, that fan base, maybe the franchise that I guess helped you grow into the player you did become? And if there was any fond memories of your time wearing the blue and white, what do you look back on most when you start to reflect of your Hall of Fame career?
Well, the Blue Jays, I mean, they gave me the opportunity that as a player you always want. You want to make it up to the big leagues and so forth, and they gave me that opportunity, and I played on a great team. And that was back when the Blue Jays were drawing 3 million fans a year, and so they're packing the stadium. Well, at first, I mean, Exhibition Stadium wasn't 6,000 people, but once we moved into the Sky Dome back then, I mean, it was 50,000 people every night yelling and screaming, and I had good teammates with George Bell and Barfield and Mosby. And what was great was that the Blue Jays hit me 7th and 8th. Me and Cecil Fielder hit 7th and 8th because we had good players in front of us, and so we could relax and just whatever we did was like a plus because we had some pretty good players, and so just my whole experience up in Toronto was awesome, and I always laugh, but they gave us those Honda Accords cars. They were Honda Accords, and they had the Blue Jay emblem on the side of the car, and so everywhere you went, everybody, they know that's a Blue Jay player because he's driving around in this Honda Accord car, but it was just great. But just my whole experience, the Toronto fans and the people in the city, they're always good to me.
You hit the first ever home run at the Sky Dome. Do you remember that moment?
Oh, yeah. Opposite field against Don August. If I say, I know it's in August, but it was against Don August for the Milwaukee Brewers opening night.
That's a pretty cool memory to have. Like, you're the first one to do that, and I mean, it's going to be one that lives forever in the history of this building, which is obviously, as you said, changed to the Rogers Center now, but a pretty special moment. I did want to ask you about the level of consistency that you held, though. You started, as you mentioned, maybe a little bit rougher your career that you had wanted, but you end up going 19 seasons. You're the first player in history to hit 30-plus home runs with 5 franchises. So you had this level of production and consistency. So what was it that clicked, that was working for you, that you were able to do this sustained excellence that obviously got you to the Hall of Fame?
Well, I think every player is striving for consistency because it's tough. Because every major league player can hit, they all can hit, but it's about trying to become consistent. And so that's the battle that every player faces all the time. I mean, you guys see it. One day you may see, I know they give Varsho a little tough time, but some days you see him play great, and then some days maybe not so great. But so for him, it's a matter of him becoming more consistent and so forth. And so that's always my goal. And so I started out in my second year, we made the playoffs, and I think I went 0 for 8 or something like that. And everybody was making a big deal. Fred, he's 0 for 8 in the playoffs and everything, because everything's so magnified in the playoffs. If you go 0 for 8 during the season, people don't say too much, but you do it in the playoffs, they really spotlight on you. And so after that second year, I told myself, man, Fred, you're gonna learn your mechanics, you're gonna learn your routine, and you're just gonna stick with it. And so that was my goal all the time, to have a routine that I would stick with and work on being consistent and making a little adjustments. And I just learned to always look for a fastball almost on every pitch, and then I try to adjust to everything else. And so no matter what team I played on, what league I played in, I just always looked for a fastball. And I always, because I had to learn how to protect myself, because you start hitting home runs and then pitchers want to throw at you and throw way up and in on you. So you got to protect yourself.
2023 Hall of Fame inductee Fred McGriff on the line with us. People were real fired up to see you, Fred. There was a raucous reaction when you were announced on Hall of Fame Day, but I'm sure you're pretty excited to see some others. Is there someone who stopped you in your tracks, a conversation you loved having, someone you loved catching up with at Cooperstown? Did you have any memorable interactions that you could share with us? Well,
all the guys were great to me. It's been some years since I've seen a lot of the guys, but like Dave Winfield, hadn't really talked to him a lot in my career, but we talked for like 2 hours in the hotel, and he's like, "Oh yeah, Fred, we were similar hitters, except you hit from the left side, I hit from the right side. You stood off the plate, I was off the plate." We had a nice little conversation, and I got a chance to talk to George Brett, and I was trying to tell Brett that because when I was coming up in the minors in 84, 85 and everything, he killed the Blue Jays in the playoffs, and so I was a big fan. And because he had a great swing, he was left-handed and so forth, and I patterned a little bit of my swing, releasing my top hand of the bat off and everything. So having an opportunity to talk with him a little bit. For the most part, baseball has a lot of good people, man. Every once in a while you run into a bad guy, but for the most part you have good people. So having a chance to just catch up with everybody, and they're all telling me like, "Yeah, Fred, next year you come back and it's going to be so much better. You're not going to have any stress. You're just going to have a good time while you're here." I'm like, "Okay, guys, but right now, hey, the old saying, like, you can't let them see you sweat."
There you go.
Yeah. So you're like, "Oh, I'm cool. I'm good. All right. Thank you."
Yeah, that's an underrated part of it. You get to go back every year now and, give it to the guys who actually have to go up there and deliver a speech. So you went in with Scott Rolen, of course, big Blue Jays ties with this Hall of Fame class, yourself and Scott. Was it cool going in with Scott Rolen? Were you able to catch up with him as well?
Yeah, and Scott, like we talked, but Scott played the game the right way, and he played hard, and we always laugh. I was telling him how, when Scott hit a home run, he just sprinted around the bases. He was just a hard-nosed player and everything. And so I told him that we're bonded at the hip. I told him, like, Scott, we're brothers now, So it was cool meeting his family and the whole experience because we're both in the same boat in the sense where, he's stressed out on his speech. And so we're both having to, just contain your emotions a little bit, and I was laughing because once I gave my speech and then I sat down, I whispered to him like, "Scott, you all right, man? Ain't no problem. It's easy, man. Piece of cake."
All right, Fred, a really important stretch here for the Blue Jays moving forward. I think they could use some additions. You still have it? Are you interested in a comeback? We could start the campaign now. We could have you back in the blue and white. You want to get back out there? We can make it happen.
Oh, I would love to. But, the thing about it is I looked at the standings the other day and so forth, and I know the Orioles are in first place now, but in the loss column, the Blue Jays are like 3 or 4 games in back, maybe 3 games now in back for the Rays. So if they just continue to play better, they have a chance because I tell people, when I got traded to the Atlanta Braves, we were 10 games out of first place at the All-Star break. So all you got to do is try to make up a game a week. You don't have to like go on this 10-game winning streak or whatever. You just have to play better, pick up a game a week on the Blue Jays, on the Orioles and Rays, and then you'll catch them by the end of the year. So it's not really panic mode. It's just about everybody being more consistent. Like I was saying, Farshow has to get going because he'll be a big addition, and just Guerrero has really play. All those guys have to really come together down the stretch, and so they have a chance.
So you're World Series champion. There's a specific DNA that I think a team probably needs to have when you face adversity, when you face really important games that you need to win. Is there something that, in the makeup of the teams that are successful, that they just have it, whether it's the camaraderie, whether it's the accountability or the joy of baseball, something that this Blue Jays team or a team that does want to be a World Series champion this year has got to find?
Yeah, well, you got to have usually on a championship team, everybody has a career year for the most part, and everything goes right. When you need a double play, they get it. When they need you, the big hit, they get it. And so that's what it's going to take coming down the stretch. I know that the bullpen has kind of been a little so-so at times for the Blue Jays this year, and they've lost some late inning games. And so really just getting those guys together. But I was thinking, it's kind of like the way baseball is these days. Everybody's bullpen is going to be burnt because nowadays the starters only go 2 times around the order. So bullpens, starting pitchers out of the game by the 5th inning. And now everybody's using their bullpen, and now they have the opener where the reliever starts the game, and then the starters come in. So at the end of the year, it's kind of going to be like whoever can just get it wherever they can in their bullpen, or the September call-ups can help them out. Those are the teams that's going to have a chance. But it helps that the scheduling this year, the Blue Jays only got to play the Yankees 12 times and the Red Sox 12 times, and so they can play teams in the American League Central and so forth and get some wins that way. So it's a lot better. This new scheduling is a lot better for everybody. It's more fair for everybody. Playing the Yankees and Red Sox 19 times and the Rays 19 times wasn't very fair because the teams in the Central, the Twins and teams like that, they were just beating up on teams in their division. And so for the last 4 or 5 years, the Twins just walk into the playoffs. But now it's going to be a little different for them.